In poetry, things are said in a certain way that you should not just read the line, you must read both the gaps before and after the line, because most of the meaning is in the gaps always in a poetry. It's not just in the words, not prose to tell you this is it. The idea of writing poetry is to exercise your mind and your heart to feel the meaning, not just to understand the meaning from the words that are said. Namaskaram to everyone, wherever you are. The unstructured nature of my mind naturally found succor in the ways of poetry because the nature of what was happening in my mind as a child, as a youth, could never find a logical, proper prose kind of expression because my mind was so unstructured and completely untrained or refused to be trained, whichever way you want to see it. Because of this, poetry became so much a part of my life. Probably most of the poems that I ever wrote have never been seen by anyone or read by anyone because I wrote it in a whole bunch of small sheets of paper all over the place. And I think once in a small fire accident that happened where my car got burnt, I think over 400 poems got burnt with that. So probably only… not probably, only what I have written in the last maybe… since we moved to the yoga center, in the last 20 years, probably that's all the poems that we have. Maybe a few of them, the past ones I could recollect if I could, but generally it's all that's written. Here we are at 11 degrees north in southern India. This is an ideal weather for coffee, and there are areas of South India which are mountains of coffee. I mean, they grow coffee here. During my youth, I spent a lot of time in Coorg, and these mountains are covered with coffee. This is coffee country. In another couple of months, sometime in February, January and February, the coffee goes into blossom. When the coffee plants go into full blossom, the whole mountain will turn partially white because of white flowers, jasmine-like flowers. And though the beans are invigorating, the fragrance of the coffee blossom is absolutely intoxicating and enthralling. It's very difficult to explain or articulate this experience. Many times I have felt it, and a few years ago, I took a few people who I wanted to know this and experience this. And being there in a coffee mountain or a coffee estate, as they're known, it was inevitable I had to pen something about coffee. Tamil Nadu now, though not much coffee is grown here in Tamil Nadu, except in Yercaud, which is close to Salem. But Tamil people are coffee drinkers. They wake up to the day not because of the sun, mostly because of the coffee. And they kind of mastered the concoction. Probably the Tamil Nadu's filter coffee stands out compared to anything in the world. They evolved a system of getting the best out of the coffee beans. Even if you give them very low-grade coffee, they will produce great coffee. Here is an ode to coffee. As the seed does not reveal the shape of the tree, the innocence of the infant face does not reveal the sage or the sorcerer to come. The white beauty of a blossom with the fragrance to rival the majestic jasmine does not reveal the enslaving, insane concoction of your beans. Half the world has surrendered to you, the other half are either ignorant of your magic or have turned ascetic and refuse to succumb to you. Of all of man's ingenuity in extracting pleasure and nourishment from the Mother Earth's breast, you stand out to be the one to inspire a fierce faith of unquenchable sort. You have overshadowed the Lord of Light. You have overshadowed the Lord of Light. As for the faithful, daybreak means you, not the sun. If the fragrance of coffee has woken you up, then here we are to read a few of the poems that I've penned in the last few years. And the idea and the reason behind this is, in our effort to make the presentation of spiritual process into an absolutely scientific and a logical process, that spiritual process should not defy logic, but should be rooted in logic, which is a difficult feat because the very nature of the experience does not fit into the framework of logic. But I think very successfully we have managed to find a logical expression to a completely magical experience of life. Poetry is an in-between land between logic and magic. A terrain which allows you to explore, make meaning of the magical, but still being able to have some kind of footing in the logic. Here's another one. This is called a firefly. I remember I was around 9 years of age when with my family, I traveled to a place called Subramanya in Karnataka, a fabulous place which I have visited many more times later, with finding much more meaning in this place. This is a place where Lord Subramanya or Kartikeya or Armuga, as he is known here in Tamil Nadu, or Muruga, for the last time he washed his bloody sword and walked up the mountain. This is a place where he meditated and bathed in the river and walked up the mountain to shed his body. When I was there, we were staying in a small place and it was not as it is today, it was a very remote place, a little difficult to get there in those days. In the night, around 8 o'clock, the power went off and I looked out of the window, a huge tree full of fireflies. The whole tree was lit up with fireflies. I had never seen anything like that. The scene of this big tree with fireflies is so deeply etched in my mind. It keeps coming back to me many times. And when we first moved into the ashram here, around 20 years ago, and those times, evenings usually we didn't have light because the power would go off. Then when we were here, we started noticing fireflies and suddenly these magical beings flying all over. So, writing something about fireflies became very natural. Earlier, probably my poetry found a big spurt when I decided to move into a remote place. My farm was very remote from the city, and I lived there alone for days and sometimes weeks on end without any contact with outside human beings. At this time, I started writing poetry about pebbles, grasshoppers, blades of grass, just about anything, and I found each one of them was substantial subject to write about. Unfortunately, none of those things are with us today. So here's a little poem on fireflies. In the moonless night, the firefly emboldens itself to flight. In the moonless night, the firefly emboldens itself to flight. The brooding darkness mocks the spirited flight of the fly delight. The brooding darkness mocks the spirited flight of fly delight. The limitless darkness could swallow this minuscule attempt of light. The limitless darkness could swallow this minuscule attempt of light. The skeptic's cantankerous laughter swept the inner spaces within me to ask. The skeptic's cantankerous laughter swept the inner spaces within me to ask, can a firefly light the world? Can a firefly light the world? Yes, firefly am I. If life's summers have warmed you, if your inner spaces have charmed you, I could set you afire and the world too. If life's summers have warmed you, if your inner spaces have charmed you, I could set you afire and the world too. During the Anadi program in United States at III Tennessee, 90 days, a gusty lot of people gathered. A whole lot of people did a wonderful effort to raise their sadhana to a different pitch, and we explored dimensions which are not just unusual, much more than that. And we happened to be at a time when there was a Guru Purnima. The most dominant factor of my life has been my Guru and nothing else. Even today in my mind, more than in my mind, literally in every crevice in my body, every pulsation in my system, and my very energy has… it's just his presence which is the most dominant within me. To keep it this way has been easy for me because I don't have a mind of my own. Because… probably because of this, just about everything reverberates, which is not me but way beyond me, way bigger than me. I did not see my Guru as a man who touched me. Though his touch brought me to the highest level of experience and a revelation of life and beyond. The old structure within me somewhere would not accept it, in the sense unless it came from Adi Yogi, unless it came from Shiva himself, it's not real. So the compassion of my master made himself, turn himself into that form. I don't know if this was his act, that he turned himself this way, or that's how he really was at that time. But today and ever since, this has left me in a place where I don't have to make any attempt to know anything. Whatever I need to know, he and he are there so it's just there all the time. So on this Guru Purnima, about these 5 little poems tumbled out of me within a matter of 5 to 10 minutes. I'm not a great crafter of words. It is just that without any kind of mastery over any particular language, through the grace, I managed to find some expression to what's happening or near to that. Here are 5 small poems which were part of the Guru Purnima day. All of them are titled as My Master. Brooding, squinting, staring, I could not hit the mark. Brooding, squinting, staring, I could not hit the mark. He walks in like a wanton monarch. He walks in like a wanton monarch with a crooked stick and makes his mark. With a crooked stick and makes his mark. Lost, lost to life and death. Both I did, but moved me not. Lost, lost to life and death. Both I did, but moved me not. A man who walks with a stick comes to me, the able-bodied one. A man who walks with a stick comes to me, the able-bodied one. Having seen birth and death and all that life can bequeath, still sitting dumb-stuck. Having seen birth and death and all that life can bequeath, still sitting dumb-stuck. Here comes the man with a stick to have me struck with his lightning stick. Here comes a man with a stick to have me struck with his lightning stick. I let the whole world go by, of spiritual and material, of land and sky. I let the whole world go by, of spiritual and material, of land and sky. I searched in the mother's womb and in the lover's bosom. I searched in the mother's womb and in the lover's bosom. But such a one I did not find, till I crawled to him like a worm. But such a one I did not find. But such a one I did not find till I crawled to him like a worm. poor Guru do? All I have done is do and do. What can a poor Guru do as all? All I have done What can a poor Guru do? All I have done is do and do. After seeing all that is there to see, after seeing all that is there to see, he comes to teach me how to be. After seeing all that is there to see, he comes to teach me how to be. The breath that passes out will not come back. The breath that passes out will not come back. The Guru who touched and left me not and need not come back. The Guru who touched and left me not and need not come back. As I see the seemingly perpetual play of breath, as I see the seemingly perpetual play of breath, the breath, the maker of my body and the taker of my being, when the timely moment comes. The breath, the maker of my body and the taker of my being when the timely moment comes. This ceaseless play of the unseen hand of the Divine, this ceaseless play of the unseen hand of the Divine, me firmly held the hand, and the Maker could not escape. Me firmly held the hand, and the Maker could not escape. There is a land that is beyond right and wrong. When you get to that land and lie there, humans who live for bread and toil to be what they are not will strive to hide their jealousy with mocking talk, and the gods will descend to be in the company they wish to be. Once you have reached that land, beyond right and wrong, you never have to worry about making a mistake or going wrong. Once you have reached that land, beyond right and wrong, you never have to worry about making a mistake or going wrong. These creatures of the moon, in such delicious swoon, the sun and me, not the only boon to these creatures of the moon. These creatures of the moon, in such delicious swoon, the sun and me, not the only boon to these creatures of the moon. Daily death, a must for the sun, to be kept and nourished in the pregnancy of the moon. It is her gracious reflection that sees him through the night. Daily death, a must for the sun, to be kept and nourished in the pregnancy of the moon. It is her gracious reflection that sees him through the night. Sun, the source of all known creation, is but born in the coolness of the moon. The Creator placed such trust in this unreasonable madness of the moon, bestowed the womb to bear and the feeding breast. Sun, the source of all known creation, is but born in the coolness of the moon. The Creator placed such trust in this unreasonable madness of the moon, bestowed the womb to bear and the feeding breast. May she flower and bloom too soon. Only then there can be worthwhile harvest, when the world knows the nourishment of this womb. In celebration will exist these creatures of the moon. May she flower and bloom too soon. Only then can there be worthwhile harvest, when the world knows the nourishment of this womb. In celebration will exist these creatures of the moon.